I'm waiting. Okay. Hopefully all of you are enjoying the sessions. There's too many things going on and too many concurrent sessions happening, which is exciting as well. It's all about AI these days. If you can go to the next slide, please. Anyways, thanks for the warm welcome. When I think about AI, how many of you have seen or heard of the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once? So if we were to describe generative AI, and now 2 years later, I would bulk AI into the same boat as well. It is everything, everywhere, all at once. And, does anyone know Yuval Noah Harari in the room? Yeah, there's one. He recently came up with a new book called Nexus. That is completely mind-blowing book. If you haven't picked up, I would highly encourage all of you to read it. This is one of his quotes, which is generative AI has hacked the operating system of human civilization. And the reason he says this is essentially because the unique differentiation that we have is our language. And AI today, especially the generative AI, understands the human language, which all of us are still in the suspension of disbelief that it's happening with us. So anyways, if you go to the next slide, this is how I see myself when ChatGPT came in 2 years ago, right? I have been in the AI industry for almost 2 decades now. I've been leading AI teams I'm trained as a data scientist leading AI teams for a number of years. But when I think about how to do AI or how to surf, I know how to surf. I know how to do AI. I have my best surfing board, which means I have the best tools and tech that I needed to do AI. But then I see a big wave coming, which is the generative AI wave, and it hasn't changed. This is what I felt 2 years ago. This is what I feel even today. There's a big surf coming, and I don't know if I am or my organization is ready to barrel the wave, because this is something that all of you who are here in the room are wanting to do this. Take a big deep dive onto this wave, barrel the wave, stoke in the end, and then be able to do the backhand and front hand flip. But guess what? For that, what I also realized is, as a leader within the AI industry, I need to get my organization ready to be able to do this. It's not an individual sport. It is a team sport where you need to be ready to be able to lead your organization to drive this transformation. So I work very closely with my CHRO, Chief Human Resources Officer, because one of the things we have also realized is CHROs are the new CIOs and CTOs of any company. Tech comes easy. AI is everywhere. It's a byproduct of what we will be building. It is the foundation. How do we get the organization ready for this? So when you think about it, I mentioned I've been in the AI industry for 2 decades. Guess what? AI has been here for almost 7 decades. 1950, and Yulia talked a little bit about it. 1950 was when Turing test got discovered. 1955 was when the term AI came up about in a Dartmouth conference. Then came late 2000, early 2000, there was Watson, Siri, Deep Blue, AlphaGo, Libratus. News articles posted as a demise of humanity in the early 2000s, especially right after the poker game that Libratus won. But guess what? It's not going to happen. We are still here. And when you think about it, right after then, this is the hints of AI that we have been seeing. And then came the transformer architecture, ImageNet right before that in 2012, which essentially changed a lot of our own future who has been working within the AI. Jeff Hinton came in, beat the ImageNet challenge, unprecedented way, we hadn't seen it. But it all stayed within a very focused AI group, the excitement. I was quite excited at that time when 2012 happened. And then came 2017, which is the transformer architecture. It didn't change us, a lot of parallel industries, a whole lot, but it did change how we thought about self-driving cars. Image recognition became the usual fact for us being able to do it. And then came 2022, right, which all of us know about it, and that's why it is at every table. So if you go to the next slide. So the question that came to us, again, I work for Northwestern Mutual, that question that came to us at that time in 2022 is 3 questions. And this is what I've been talking to my exec team is, do we want to be leaders or do we want to be followers within this space? How do we stay on top of everything? We are living in the dog years of AI today. The things change as fast as you make something internally. And then how do we pursue in an ethical manner, an ethical way of all the deployments of AI that we do today? So if you go to the next, is there a clicker that I can use? No? Okay. So the first question was, do you want to be a leader or do you want to be a follower? Being follower is easy, especially when you're in a financial and insurance industry. You can just follow and let others come carve the path for you. But then the discussion that we had is we serve 5 million clients in the industry with their life insurance products and comprehensive planning approaches that we provide to them. So when you think about that, we sit at the cusp of providing seamless client experience for financial purposes, which all of us would agree is highly complicated for some reason. I have an insurance product myself, but it takes a lot of time to understand what I am buying. So being a follower wasn't a choice for us, and that we declared at the top level of the company. So next slide, please. So again, coming back to Northwestern Mutual, it's a 167-year-old financial company. It's a Fortune 100 company that one would think that it's a legacy company, but if you walk down the halls, this company has been transformed for the last 2 decades very easily. And this question of us being able to provide that financial comprehensive planning experience in a seamless manner to all the clients was sitting at the core of who we are and who we want to become as a company as well. What you see here on the slides is our first policy that we issued, which was in 1932. And that's the policy that, and many others to come since then, is the place where we are driving the mortality and ensuring that we have longer mortality for each of the individuals, that with the byproducts we have wellness offerings as well. So there's a lot of, along with insurance, we also provide investments and annuity as well, which are the core products of what we do. And for us to be able to sell better and provide financial security, as I mentioned before, client experience was key. If you can go to the next slide. So then I joined Northwestern Mutual almost 3.5 years ago. And then we had, when your head of data science joins, so I lead all of the artificial intelligence for Northwestern Mutual. I've been there for 3.5 years. And when you have your head of AI joins, the obvious question comes to everybody in the organization, especially the executive team, is where all we can implement AI. The first and foremost fundamental operation where we wanted to hit was underwriting. So this is, again, I'm switching gears and moving into the traditional AI, but traditional AI is all we knew very well. So 3.5 years ago, we decided to change how we underwrote the clients. So now we have almost 80% of our policy applications that are touching one or the other AI model, plus rules engine that we have built on top of it to drive a faster approach to how we underwrite somebody or a client that comes to our services. Along with that, we have a lot of other models that we deploy, all of those traditional. This is before the ChatGPT became a phenomena. We have customer lifetime value. We have propensity scores for all the clients that come in. We provide to our financial rep, and he knows the propensity of a client to buy a product or not. We have digital lead propensity models, AI models that are deployed within the marketing phenomena. Within the claims, we are working on multiple AI models across the workflow to ensure that there is a time that we can reduce to process a claim, which is where we take pride on. We issue every claim that comes to us. And these are massive claims and massive numbers. So again, reducing the time it takes to process a claim was something that we have implemented tons of AI on. So we have many use cases that we were running very happy with, and it was getting deployed across the organization with our business leaders. And then came the ChatGPT phenomena, if you go to the next slide. So again, when the Gen AI came in, we started to implement generative AI. And I'm sure all of you are aware of what you can do with the generative AI. It's a it's a language model. It understands language very well. And my fundamental belief is so far we are heavily focused on the language models, but the way I am carving the path for all my execs within the company as well is it's the integrated AI systems approach that's going to make a difference. There's tons of work that we have done with AI within either claims workflow or underwriting workflow or servicing workflow, but all those workflows will benefit a lot from not only the traditional or classical AI models, but also the language models. Also the language models. So one of the things that we have been aggressively focused on is bringing the traditional classical AI along with generative AI to cut down the time it takes for us to either process a claim, process an underwriting, process an investment product, but also being able to provide that seamless client experience using generative AI. And it's much easier to say than actually do it. I've been executing AI solutions for, as I said, almost 2 decades, more in exec position for the last couple years, 5 or 6 years, maybe a little bit more. But what comes in the way is never the technology. It's always how you bring the organizational along, your vision, to be able to help drive the transformation for a company. So I'll talk a little bit about it as we go to the next slides. But again, in my view, integrated AI systems will become a reality, at least for the large companies that are trying to transform themselves into the new phase. I haven't seen industry talk a lot about it on the integrated AI systems, but I have seen us being able to deploy aggressively on that. And I'll switch gear and talk a little bit about the change management, which is, again, change management belongs to solving the business challenge. And you need to first identify the right business challenge that requires AI. Not every solution, not every workflow requires AI. So one of the things that we do quite often with, and twice a year we do that with our business leaders, is we host a workshop. I call it an Eisenhower Decision Matrix workshop. It is available online, you can find it. But it is a quadrant matrix, it's a 4-quadrant matrix that we sit down with our business leaders and we try to identify the questions that they are wanting to solve, but it's complex enough for them not to be able to solve. If it's simple and it's not that complex, then we enable them to solve for it. But if it is a highly complex and requires multiple factors, which is again in the complexity and impact matrix, if it's in the 4th quadrant, then we work with them continuously on a regular cadence to help to start to solve those problems. So that's why as we identify these problems, which we do twice a year, it's a joint workshop that we host with our business leaders and understand their pain points and figure out where are the ways where we truly need to deploy AI, and then they need to have a stake in the ground with us as well to help drive that transformation. Because there's no transformation that you can drive from the tech perspective, it has to come from the business as well, along with you as a paired partner. So much so that next week I'm giving a talk, similar talk at Keynote at Data and AI Summit, and I'm bringing along one of my business partners on the stage with me. Because if I don't have a willing business partner, there's not a way I can transform the entire organization the ways that I mean to do it today and in the future as well. So we are solving many business challenges, but what comes in the way is the change management and the adoption. And adoption is fundamental because for us to drive adoption, we have to sit with not only the leaders, but also with the business users. And we have to start to use the tools that we are building as well. So we do that quite a bit. Next slide, please. So when we think about the generative AI and how Northwestern Mutual is looking at it, there's 3 fundamental principles that I've been able to get the organization aligned around, which is, first and foremost, we have to build the foundation, we have to learn what is happening. So there's tons of work that we did in 2023 and 2024 for building the foundation. We are building a GenAI operating system within which we have the model as a service, we have guardrail as a service, we have prompt engineering as a service, we have prompt library as a service. These are the things that we build in-house so that we can ensure that we are all working within the guardrails of what we believe in. Yulia, the speaker right before me, talked about ethical implementation of AI. GenAI operating system for us was the response to ensure that every GenAI solution that we are building is within the guardrail services of what we deliver as the company. And we have a similar MLOps, machine learning operations platform as well, within which we monitor all the AI models that goes into production. So build a foundation and learn. So again, we are focusing heavily on building the foundation. Education has been a key part of how we are driving this adoption. So I work very closely with our CHRO partners. We are funding heavily within the organization. We are hosting multiple demystifying AI sessions, demystifying AI and Gen AI sessions for large swaths of the organization. We have hosted a couple ethics AI symposium and AI ethics symposium as well. Because one thing we also realize, you cannot do it if you don't have an organization ready and willing to come on board with you to drive this transformation. When you think about 2025, and we have already started onto this path, is there are things that everybody is doing, right? RAG architecture, we have all retrieval and augmented generation service. So RAG is, everybody is doing RAG. This is not new. That's the first use case that all of us associated with, and all of us, I felt kind of knew how to do it, right? So we are using what we call servicing GPT. So at call center, we have our callers who are taking call from the field and from the clients, and they have to go and look into tons of internal NM document. So we ingested the entire document into what we call servicing GPT, into the LLM that we got it from external third party. We are not building our own LLM. We uploaded all those. We have a vector DB that we are using, and then what it does is it gives them responses to the questions that they're asking in real time. Now, that particular servicing GPT, we launched in August to almost 800 CSRs. So all of our call center representatives have it, and they're using it on a constant basis. It is now included in our onboard training of all the CSRs as well. So then we have the LinkNet GPT, which is, again, that's the other GPT solution that is also based on RAG, which anybody from field to home office can easily use it. It's a search and retrieval for them. So search and retrieval comes easy to all of us. So we knew how to do it. It was not as easy as it sounds. It took a muscle, and it took to bring the right talent, train the talent, and shift focus from where we were using those resources before to where we were going to use it in the future. So we needed to we needed to be highly agile. The differentiators. When you think about the differentiators that we are building, it's all about the seamless client experience. What I mentioned before, the servicing GPT and LinkNet GPT, that is only for our own internal employees and the financial reps that we serve. But the differentiators that we need to build is, how do we provide a seamless client experience? So there's an active listening project that we are working on where it summarizes all the calls that FRs is having with the clients, with clients' approval, and also fill what we call a fact-finding experience. So when an FR sits down with a client, we collect some of the facts for you. This chatbot will essentially fill the facts that the FR is collecting from the client, and provides that faster time to sale for the FRs. So those are the differentiators that we have thought about, that we are actively building right now. And the next 2025 plus is what we are talking to board as well, is how do we evolve our business model from where we are, because we have the potential to be able to do that. So it takes a 360 view on being able to mature yourself as an organization from where you are to where you want to be going. Next slide, please. So these are the 5 areas that we are focused heavily on, which is workforce effectiveness. And that's the first one, because all of our employees need to know what AI is, what Gen AI is. Our fundamental belief, and my fundamental belief, is AI will be across everything that we do. It will be, and again, I'm not the first one to be using this terminology. Somebody has said it before, it will be like the electricity. It's just how do we get more comfortable, more faster than what's coming in our way. So we have GitHub Copilot currently used by 800 and 1,000 of our engineers already. It's active in production. We have got Microsoft Copilot that is available to a large set of employees as well. I already talked about the servicing GPT, which is our servicing and operations, where we are gaining a lot of operational efficiency. So servicing GPT and LinkNet GPT, these are the chatbots that we have built and deployed to a large percentage of our population. Advisor planning is where we are essentially looking at the workflow that we have today on how our financial reps interact with our clients and provide that seamless experience to clients, which includes underwriting. So how do we make that process much more seamless, reduce the backlog that we have? How do we drive forward the efficiency within the claims process? How do we make that faster for the advisors as well to process a claim? So those are the areas that we are actively looking at. So if you go to the next slide, I talked a little bit about where are we engaged in terms of what we are delivering as the use cases to the organization. But when I think about the training that I've had over the years, ethical implementation AI, I worked for Monsanto for a number of years, right? And many of you, I'm sure, know about Monsanto. We had tons of regulatory approvals that I needed to get for any of the products that we were launching in the marketplace. So I essentially learned a lot about how to deploy ethical AI models because we were wired to do that. We weren't asked to do it, we just had to do it. So that training helped me a lot within this phase where we are now, is ensuring as a leader that we are deploying ethical and responsible AI. And that takes a muscle within the organization for the organization to be successful. You need to have a team, multiple teams from privacy, legal, and audit teams focused on that. So what I'm going to share next, if you can share that slide. So this is our framework. Our senior leadership team is our exec team. This is our framework on how we approach all of our AI solutions. So we have an AI steering committee, which is the committee that I have formed, which is a bunch of exec team members and some of my leaders as well. But then we have an enterprise risk oversight committee. So this is the committee that is responsible for ensuring that they have an oversight of all the enterprise risk that can come, AI being one of them. And then we also formed what I call an AI model risk oversight committee. So that's the committee that is comprised of my legal partners, my audit partners, my privacy partners, my cybersecurity partners. Any of the AI models, whether it's classical AI or generative AI, for us to deploy into production, it has to go through that AI MROC. So that's the team that is responsible for also putting the Gen AI policy in place, acceptable use policy for everyone. And so again, this just gives you a sense for how we are looking at the AI risk management. And this was my last slide. My time is up, right? Almost, okay. So any questions? Yes. It's mixed. The newer agents that are coming in, they're running with it. The more experienced one, for obvious reasons, they're skeptical, right? Because so more experienced one, when I say, that means 10 plus years. They definitely know more than the bot that I'm deploying, right? But the junior agents are running with it, so what we are able to do is not backfill the attrition. Yep. Any other question? Okay, thank you very much.